supari, coconut, these are not the crops which would be damaged to this extent. But it all happened because it was very intensive agriculture, which is being promoted of late for past few decades in Konkan also. And this resulted into massive damages. These were trees of, they could have survived otherwise for another 30-40 years, but all of this got uprooted. Electricity infrastructure, already explained that. Again, these are the aspects wherein probably as administration we also need to work on. Now, having known two cyclones on the coast of Raigad, Maharashtra, we need to go for more underground cabling as far as wherever the dense population is located. So don't do it because it is more expensive. It is 5 times more expensive than the above ground. So do it only for areas where an intense population is there, and for the remaining areas it can be above ground. This is a suggestion that we also gave to government. Livestock losses, in order to reduce livestock losses, even at the preparation stage before the cyclone, there were directions that untie them if they are under kacha sheds. If the sheds for animals are not pakka, untie them, allow them to go in an open space. Open space में सब जगह एक साथ खड़े रहेंगे, they will survive. But poultry sheds and all got massive damages, and unfortunately these are not even covered under the NDRF guidelines, and these people could not get the losses compensated as well. Next. This hoarding aspect of cities, because even our city of Mumbai is full of hoardings. There are so many big size hoardings, and not just they ruin the aesthetics of the cities at times, because some of them are really good. They add to aesthetics. Most of them are unfortunately not proper. This on right hand side and on left hand side, both are the images wherein hoardings collapsed. This one happened in Panvel. And right before this incident, this is of Cyclone Tauktae, around 3 hours before, we actually went there and we told this was a slum below the hoarding, and this is what is there all across Mumbai also. We told these people that this hoarding may collapse, this hoarding may come anytime, please vacate. And somewhere they listened. I don't know, many of the things, because still probably the community accepts the directions from the administration, because the leaders were also speaking that there is an element of danger, a disaster coming. So these people listened to us. They went to a place that we assigned to them. And in 3 hours time, when this Tauktae happened, this entire hoarding came on their slum. This could have caused massive damage to the lives of people. Same is what happened with other hoardings also. This calls for probably some kind of a policy change in the hoardings in urban areas, especially on the coastline, like Mumbai, even Panvel, Thane, Navi Mumbai. A lot of our cities are located on coastline. Next. Government offices, I have already told. This is the old offices as such were resilient, but because of the concretization that we have been doing in the passages, in the verandas, and the trees are not having adequate space in times like this, those trees collapsed and they caused more losses. Next. Fisherfolk, I have already told you, the extent of losses was much less because the people had already brought their boats on the shore. However, the old boats still were damaged. Next. This beach, I have told you that the Suru Plantation, Suru is a tree which has been planted during 1970s on the beaches of Alibag and probably also in Ratnagiri, Sindhudurg. It is a very fast growing tree, goes tall very soon, but not cyclone resilient. And all of us have witnessed that most of these trees got uprooted or broken in parts. Next. This is probably a result of corruption in the government system, that a water storage tank also got collapsed. It was hardly 5 years old, and this cannot be due to cyclone. There are certain aspects of our way of working, our administration, and community. This Ayushman Bharat building, this was a very newly built structure, and this also got blown away in cyclone. Next. PDS Godowns. Fortunately, we had already told that all the Godowns, the grains had to be covered with tarpaulin sheets. An adequate amount of tarpaulin sheets had already been given in our PDS Godowns. Even then, all the samples were sent for testing, and some grains which got ruined need to be replaced. Next. Uh, this is only to tell the machinery how it worked. In this, where the community plays a role, because these drivers of JCBs, the woodcutter, the sawmill operators, everywhere, every nook and corner of the village, it is not the administration which is providing them food, which is providing them water. When our electricity gangs of MSEB or other companies like Adani Power, also Adani Power, Tata Power, we called them to help us in rebuilding the electricity infrastructure. Administration actually cannot be at every village. There were lots of villages where electricity got disrupted. It was where we saw this help coming from the community. They were taking care of them. They were providing them water, tea, food. Even during the Mahad building collapse, when I reached there and I was there for continuous 36 hours until the operation was over and the entire debris got removed. It was the people of the community who were helping, who had given, who had opened their doors for the people. A mosque was close by, and most of the people were living in that mosque or the neighbors' houses. And they were arranging food, they were arranging water, they were taking care of each other. And the first evacuations from the debris in the Mahad building collapse, or the few incidences of injuries which happened during cyclone Nisarg, it was someone from the community who actually removed the broken slab or helped the citizen in coming out from such debris, and actually ensured limited casualties, ensure that casualties are limited. This is generally with BSNL we can use any district anywhere in India. If the telecommunication network gets disrupted, the Department of Telecom passes an order in which BSNL network, if operational, can be used by any other operator through manual selection. So this was popularized very widely in all our district, that now this ICR agreement is in place, and Raigad mein BSNL network would immediately be working. So we had all these private operators. Our focus was first on BSNL because it had a network even in the villages. So we provided wall-mounted generators to the BSNL towers so that their network gets operationalized, and with their network, even the Jio can work, even the Tata network can work, Airtel network can work. Next. In this, the most important role was of community. All these poles, which the LT poles, HT poles, these need to be re-erected. So इनको पूरा lift करना पड़ता है, खींचना पड़ता है, और इसमें हमारी जो gangs जाती है, gang is the term used for the group of people, electrician, who help in restoring such works. So जब ये teams जाती है तो उसको help करने में गांव के बहुत सारे लड़के एक साथ आते थे, और वो उसको वापस से खड़ा करके फिर से सही करने में, इसमें वायर्स का जो टेंशन है वो पूरा जब तक सही नहीं आता था. So this happened quickly. We were able to restore telecommunication network of BSNL in 72 hours. We were able to ensure 72 hours all the roads are cleared to all tehsils and into every village panchayat. In 45 days it took to restore electricity to the last electricity consumer. But this 45 days for a district which has never witnessed something like this, I believe was far effective number of days, and it could happen fast only because there were not just the gangs that we had, but also a gang of young boys and people, young men from the village who were ready to extend support. under the guidance and supervision of the electricity gangs of MSEB and Adani and Tata Power. Next. Uh, like recent Mahad floods, the floods were of an extent that there was mud all across the city. It was up to knee length. How to remove it? Mahad is a very small municipal council. Raigad as such doesn't have a big municipal corporation. Panvel is only 4 years old. We did not have adequate machinery to remove the mud that had come in the entire city of Mahad. And the support that we got from the city of Navi Mumbai Corporation, Brihanna Mumbai Mahanagar Palika, Thane Mahanagar Palika, Pune Mahanagar Palika speaks something about us as community, us as in all of us. When there is a crisis, Mahad could not have been cleaned at the speed with which we could clean the city. It could have probably resulted into a massive endemic in that area, at least some uh, diarrhea or maybe leptospirosis or dengue, malaria, all such diseases or vector-borne diseases could have spread in that city with somewhere around 30,000 population. But all of this could be stopped because we got health teams from all big municipal corporations located close to Raigad. We got extensive amount of relief material, so much of it that when we were visiting villages and asking if the ration is there, they would say nahi, aap bhi aaye, administration bhi aaya, NGOs bhi aaya, and some other districts team has also come. This speaks of still the element of care and concern for the community that we as Indians probably still are having amongst us, and without which this scale of disaster amidst COVID could have never been managed. Gram Sevak Sangatna of Palghar is sending Palghar, because I had worked in Palghar. My teachers sent teams, my doctors sent teams, Gram Sevak sent teams. Fortunately, I had also worked in BMC, so I could get a lot of support in terms of veterinary health department of BMC was there with all the big NGOs that are there in Mumbai. They were there to help us in animal carcass management, in treating the injured animals, which could have, if not attended in time, resulted into massive losses for the people. Next. Relief distribution, I would be wrong if I say it's only administration. In fact, these images are of people who are not from administration. These are people who came from community, who NGOs came running from everywhere. I got help from NGOs as far located as in Junagadh or Jamnagar. There were people coming from there, which tells somewhere something about us Indians as a community in times of crisis. Next. Alternative energy sources, although I had been working on this aspect already, and say from the Raigad collector office as such, we had established solar energy network and also in most of the tehsil offices. But during this kind of a crisis wherein it may take some 40-45 days to restore energy to every consumer, the alternative energy sources like kerosene, I personally, when I used to study and even during my training program, somewhere was very skeptical for kerosene distribution through PDS, and have always heard of scams in kerosene and it not being distributed properly. But at this point of time, I realized that how it can actually help the tribal hamlets, it can help the villages wherein the electricity is going to take a lot of time. And the solar lanterns, which were given by MEDA and NGOs, this also immensely helped us. Next. This is because our CM has been very sensitive to this issue of caring for people in crisis. On the day it happened, he rang me up and he said, "How much do you want for your district?" I said, although the damages are too many, the first thing that I would want to do is to give relief to people. The government buildings may get repaired afterwards. The crop losses may be given afterwards, but the houses which have been damaged, needs to be attended immediately, because this cyclone came on 3rd of June, the another cyclone came in May, 17th May, and the entire monsoon was still to be there. So the damage assessment exercise has to be done expeditiously, and the relief distribution has to happen very fast so that people are able to rebuild their houses in the quickest possible way. Otherwise, the amount of damage, what uh, could have happened if the announcement of 100 crore on the very first day of cyclone would not have happened, would not have been made by Honorable CM, and we got this amount immediately in 24 hours time. All this matters a lot in responding to a crisis of this scale. And prioritizing that, first is the houses of the people, second comes the crops damages, third comes the government buildings, and the last would be other aspects which are not covered by NDRF. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Resilience to me is the, as I have already explained, when a community on its own helps each other in times of crisis, is ready to face risks without compromising on the long-term aspects of development. So I would not mean to say that we need to stop all the construction that is happening in Raigad. We only need to make it more ecologically resilient. We need to make it more disaster resilient. We don't have to hamper any kind of development. We don't have to stop the highways, but we definitely need to look at the kind of plants we are planting along the highways. We don't have to undo Suru Plantation or intensive agriculture का कोई और फॉर्म लाना पड़ेगा. So थोड़ी चीजें करने की जरूरत है. Climate change is a reality that all of us now need to accept, something that was only predicted year after year. Cyclone aayega, Maha, Kyar, Okhi, Vayu, none of this hit. But every time it was coming closer, 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 and in 2020 it hit us. Next year again, just a year later, we again got a warning that Tauktae is coming. And I now believe that now we have become as vulnerable as the eastern coastline, and this acceptance has to be there in the community. When we went, after this cyclone happened, when we went from village to assess the damages, and the village, the tehsils which were least affected, from there my teams went to these affected village. It was a discovery for each one of us when we saw that old houses were intact. उनका कोई एक कॉल थोड़ा इधर उधर हुआ, थोड़े से मैंगलोरियन टाइल टूटी थी, बट जो नए बनाए थे, ढंग से नहीं बनाए थे, मॉनसून शेड सारे उड़ गए थे. This was an enlightening thing for us, that we need to probably also look at this concept called ethno development. नीचे से जो डेवलपमेंट होता है, जो लोग कई सालों से जिस तरीके से जीवन जीते आए हैं, अपनी कई चीजें उनकी जिंदगी का हिस्सा है कि घर कैसे बनाना है, खेती कैसे करनी है, घरों के बीच में डिस्टेंस कैसे रखना है, छत कैसी बनानी है, ऐसी छोटी छोटी चीजें जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हुआ करती थी और करती है, उनको कहीं हम भूल गए हैं. और जब मैं इन गाँवों में जाती थी, मेरे साथ मेरी टीम जाती थी, तो ये यंग बच्चे जब हमारे पास आके कहते थे कि मैडम आपने जब वार्निंग देना शुरू किया था कि ऐसा घर बच जाएगा, बिल्कुल सही कहा था, ये पुराने घर बच जाएंगे कॉल के, आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा था, अभी हम आंखों से देख रहे हैं, अब हम फिर से वैसे ही घर बनाएंगे. When these young men and women came forward and started telling us that we would need to go back to our roots and probably relearn a few things from our ancestors, and some kind of change in our design of houses, communities, would bring the necessary resilience in our communities. As such, we are people जो 1965 के वॉर में खाना छोड़ देते थे. आज भी बहुत सारे लोग गाँव में मिलते हैं जो मंगलवार को खाना नहीं खाते हैं, बिकॉज शास्त्री जी ने कहा था वी एज इंडियंस आर रेजिलियंट. कोंकण as as a people, I would say Konkani people as such, I have great regards for them. एक चीज जिससे मैंने सबको बांधना चाहा था रायगढ़ में was that ये शिवाजी महाराज की राजधानी है, और शिवाजी महाराज की राजधानी में हम सब मावले हैं, और ये मावले जो है ये किसी भी तरह के क्राइसिस को झेल सकते हैं और झेल के फिर से युद्ध के लिए खड़े हो सकते हैं. This messaging also somewhere went really well, and everybody was ready to support each other. And with this interaction also, I somewhere want to pay my heartfelt regards and tribute and thanks to the people of Raigad who stood by me. And because of them only, that crisis after crisis, as an administrator, as an individual, it was not an easy experience for me, because COVID अकेला झेल लेना ही बहुत था. उसमें दो दो साइक्लोन झेलना, एंड महाराष्ट्र को ऑक्सीजन देनी है तो मिडनाइट कॉल्स आते थे, ठाणे को ऑक्सीजन नहीं मिला तो 500 लोग मर जाएंगे, वसई नहीं गया तो 200 लोगों की जान को खतरा है. All these crises, if I could handle in 19 months, it only could happen because the people of Konkan are resilient. People of Konkan are salute worthy, and they really are a community as collective, and we all of us have a lot to learn from them. Thank you so much.